so excited, and AJ has just started the recording, so that's good. She was nervous that we may forget to do that tonight, but we're not going to forget. Okay, so first off, I'm Bobby Oliver, and I get the honor and privilege to introduce our special guest speaker, Miss Becca Thorpe. And as some of you might be wondering, where is Alice Harden? Alice Harden is on an airplane right now, up in the sky, on her way to Florida. So I get to fill in and take her place, fill her shoes tonight, as you will. So as we get started tonight, if you guys are joining us, don't worry about frantically trying to mute yourself. Everybody is good and taken care of as of right now. And also, before we get started, we just want to say welcome, but also the story that you will be hearing tonight from Becca. It's her own personal story, and it's so powerful that we cannot not share it. But on the other side of things, we also want you guys to know that we are not trying to make any claims, and we're not trying to say that Juice Plus will heal you. What we really want, though, is for you guys to hear Becca's heart and hear her passion for sharing about whole food nutrition and about what it can do within our bodies. So Becca Thorpe, I haven't known her for very long, but what I do know about her is that she is a beautiful woman with a giant heart who has a passion to really try to inspire and encourage a lot of people on this journey and in this lifetime. So I met her probably, I want to say, a little over a year ago, and she's quickly become one of my good friends. She literally just stayed the night at my house last night, and she also stayed the night last week too, and she's just awesome. And this morning, as we were sitting in my kitchen, really just chatting and going back and forth, she was sharing her story with me, and I was really inspired and encouraged through it, and I know that you guys are also going to feel that tonight from her. So she's going to be sharing some statistics tonight, maybe some signs to look for, and she's going to share her own personal story and this journey that she's been on for the last 5 years. It was just a couple days ago, I believe, that she had her 5-year anniversary of the scariest day of her life, and we are really, really thrilled that she is here to share her story today, because things could have gone way differently for her, but she had the faith to persevere, and I know that she is going to just share with her whole heart tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to her now, and just sit back and listen, and just be open-hearted and be open-minded to what she has to share with you. So go ahead, Becca. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bobby. You are so sweet. And I loved staying at your house. You treated me like a queen. She's like, hey, you want a shake? I'm like, yes. Are you making it? This is amazing. Okay. So like Bobby said, my name is Becca, and 5 years ago, 2 days ago, or yes, on the 11th. Yes, or yeah, 2 days ago, y'all. You don't have it all together. It's good. It's so good. It was the anniversary of when I had open heart surgery. So I was 22 years old, being rolled into the OR to have my sternum cracked open and for them to start cutting on me and doing crazy things. So I'll give you a little bit of a background of what led up to that. So when I was 21 years old, I was diagnosed with this autoimmune disorder that affected my arteries. So it's a type of vasculitis. For any medical people that may be watching this, it's a giant cell arteritis or vasculitis. And so at that point, the diagnosing doctor looked at me and he said, you might live 5 years. Let that sink in for a second. 21 years old, being told by a vascular surgeon that I might live 5 years. Needless to say, that was a little terrifying to me, but at the same time, I am very hard-headed, and I'm not going to go down without a fight. And so I was like, okay, you can say that all day long, but you're not God. Neither am I, but I am going to fight. And, I'm going to fight this. And so long story short, I ended up seeing a specialist at a very well-known hospital for cardiovascular. And she told me that she confirmed that diagnosis and it was bad. And she looked at me and she said, you will have to be on chemo meds for the rest of your life. Wow. Well, at least it was only going to be 5 years, right? Geez. And so I know what Rachel was saying earlier. If you guys haven't watched that video in the Facebook group, like Rachel was saying earlier, these medications that a lot of people are on for the rest of their lives, there are serious like side effects and consequences to the medications themselves. And so that was also kind of crazy, but I looked at her and I said, challenge accepted. And this is before I knew, this is just my hard-headedness. This wasn't like, I didn't know anything about nutrition. I was still probably eating ramen noodles and brownies for a well-balanced meal, right? I was, oh, have mercy. I was the worst of them all. And so that's why I'm like, I don't judge anyone because I was bad. And so, but I just knew that that wasn't the plan for my life, to have to be on chemo for the rest of my life. And so I, started treatment. There is a time and a place for medication. Absolutely. I am not going to stand here and say that there's not. So I started treatment, and within 4 months, I was at the place where I couldn't hardly get out of bed. I was, at that point, I was 22, couldn't hardly get out of bed. And so I started researching. I was like, okay, these medications are here, and as they may be helping with the symptoms of the diagnosis, they're making me sicker in other ways. And so I couldn't hardly keep anything in my stomach. I wanted to eat everything because I was a prednisone, but I couldn't hardly keep anything in because of the chemo, and a lot of times people get confused saying like autoimmune and chemo, but that is generally protocol for autoimmune is different kinds of chemo treatments. So I was at the point where I couldn't really get out of bed, and I started researching, and everything that I was finding was saying, you need to eat more fruits and vegetables. As much hope as that gave me, it also ticked me off just as much, because I'm like, I'm so glad there's hope. At the same time, I'm like, I hated fruits and vegetables. That's probably one of the reasons I was at the place I was at, right? And so, I mean, my idea of a vegetable was like macaroni's a vegetable, right? Or like canned green beans, that's a vegetable, right? It's good. I had it. Or canned corn. And so so y'all, like I'm saying, like no judgment. And so I reached out to my awesome friend who I'd grown up with, and she also had moved to Nashville. And I had seen some changes that she was making in her life. I'm like, maybe she can share some recipes with me that will actually like make eating vegetables tolerable to me. Some fruits, sweet. So, you can maybe manage those, but the vegetables, I was like, ugh. And so she did share some recipes with me, and she took me to the grocery store even. But when I went over to her house to borrow a documentary that you may have seen. If not, it's on Netflix. It's called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And it goes right along with our mission. She also brought her Juice Plus bottles out to me with shaking hands. And I'm forever thankful for those shaking hands, because she said, Becca, I think you need this too. And what really spoke to me was when I asked her, I said, okay, is it just fruits and vegetables? And she was like, yeah, that's just fruits and vegetables. And when she shared with me that it was scientific research backing it up, and that it didn't have a bunch of fillers or a bunch of herbs, because those could have messed with my medications in crazy ways. And so she goes, she answered correctly to all of those for what I was needing the answer to be. And so I literally like threw my card at her. I'm like, how do I get this? Because it made sense to me, because I was reading that I need more fruits and vegetables. And I knew that even if I liked them, I couldn't get them in because my stomach was so upset from the medications. Right. And so within a week and a half, I was up walking around Opry Mills with my sister. For those of you who don't know what that, like where that is or how big of a deal that is, it's a really big mall here in Nashville. Well, I'm not in Nashville right now. I'm on the road, y'all. But it's a big mall in Nashville. And I was up walking around where before the thought of that would have had me totally exhausted. Right. And so if my story would have ended there, and my blood work kept on getting better. So at that point I was having my blood drawn every other week because I was so unstable, y'all. Like most people have their blood work drawn once a year, I was every other week. Right. And being seen by the rheumatologist every other week. And, so my blood work kept on getting better. And that was the only thing I was changing. Cause literally I was at the point where I was so sick to my stomach so often that I could a lot of days just eat pretzels just to get the medications down. But I would make sure I'd get my capsules in. If I had to spread them out through the whole day, I would make sure that I got them in, right? And so if my story would have ended there, it would have been awesome and great, like blood works better and all of that. But about 3.5 months in, from the damage that was already done and the main arteries going towards my brain, I had 2 massive strokes at the age of 22, and I had to learn how to form sentences again, which to some of you right now, you might be like, I wish you wouldn't have learned so good or so well, whatever. I never was very good at grammar, so it's good. And I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to read again and to write again. And my recovery from that was beyond what any of my specialists or therapists ever expected, right? And so then 3 months after the strokes, I went in to one of the scariest days of my life, which was February 11th of 2012. 13. And I, that's when they opened me up. And so it was a very, very risky surgery to the point where, I live in Nashville, but none of the hospitals in Nashville would touch me, including Vanderbilt, because they said it was such a high risk surgery. Right. And so I had to go to this other hospital up north in the Great Tundra, and they did an amazing job, but still, before my surgery, the vascular surgeon who was going to be working on me, she looked at me and she said, "You should never get pregnant because it will kill you." Whoo, another like massive blow at 22 years old. I had just gotten engaged. I was joking with Bobby earlier. I'm like, yeah, because who doesn't get engaged after strokes and before open heart? I like to be different, y'all. And so I had just gotten engaged, and that was a massive blow, right? Like, you should never get pregnant because it will kill you. So I had to have some hard conversations, right? And surgery went good, and then I was out, but every follow-up appointment after that vascular surgeon looked at me, and she started like backing away from that statement. At my 3-month follow-up, she goes, "You could have kids. You need a high-risk doctor, but you could have kids." My year and 3 months, she goes, "So when are you planning to have kids? Keep me in the loop. Like, when is this happening?" My last follow-up with her, which was at my 3-year and 3-month follow-up, she looked at me and she said, "Wait a month to get the radiation in your system." Because when I go to the hospital where I had it done, they do like all the scans to make sure everything's good. Right. And so there's some radiation with that. She goes, "Wait a month to get that out of your system, and then go get pregnant and bring the baby with you next time." I'm like, whoa, hold up. I might need to talk to my husband about that. Right. So it went from like having to have a hard conversation with my husband of like, "Are you okay solely adopting?" To like, "Hey, the doctor told me to go get pregnant." So that was, an amazing change on even her words towards me, because my recovery was incredible. And also after my surgery, I was talking to my physical therapist. I had grown up with him, and so I could talk really straight with him. And I said, "Okay, how quickly can I move back to Nashville?" Because I had to move back in with my parents for a while. Y'all, after being out of the house, moving back in, if you ever been there, you get it. I mean, I love my parents, but I was ready to like be back in Nashville, right? And he looked at me, he said, "Probably 12 weeks, maybe 10, but really realistically 12 weeks. I was moving back to Nashville 9 weeks later by myself, like driving myself back to Nashville. And so that was incredible. And my blood work continued to get better. And I was able to like wean off these medications. And so trying to shorten this a little bit, because Lord knows I could like go all day long with details of like everything that happened that shouldn't have happened, by what it looked like at the beginning. So at one point I was on between 120 and 150 pills a week, just depending on the dosages and all of that. And then I had also been put on an infusion, which it was a really intense infusion. And there was some complications with that, but hello, I'm still alive. But now I'm off of all of those medications, and I have been for over 2.5 years. These are the medications that the doctor looked at me and told me I'd be on for the rest of my life. And if you missed it, I've been off of them for over 2.5 years. And my blood work is better than it's ever been. Seriously, I had blood work done in November, and it is the best that I've ever seen it. I never really had blood work done before I got sick because I was 21, and normally you don't go get blood work like these panels done unless you're sick at 21. So within all of that, I had really started adopting the shred lifestyle before it had a name, because I just knew that in order for me to get enough fruits and vegetables in, obviously Juice Plus helps bridge that gap, but I also knew that I needed to be eating more, and I wanted to eat more. Y'all, that was a miracle right there. Can we get an amen? Because I was actually craving fruits and vegetables. And so all of that was going on. And, but I knew that if I needed to get enough fruits and vegetables in, I needed to cut out processed foods. Right. And so a lot of the guidelines with Shred 10, if you cut out processed foods, you're cutting out refined sugar, you're cutting out these other things. And so my life is totally different now. I know that AJ posted a before and after picture. Guys, that's for real. That is so real. And the thing is before I knew I was sick, I thought I was super healthy because I was thin. I was the thinnest I'd ever been in my life because I worked out all the time. I ate like crap, but I worked out all the time. And so I was thin. And so I encourage you guys to really look at what you're putting in your mouth along with your movement. Right. And something else, which I kind of had some fun with this. Can I be real for a second? I used to be a BLS trainer, so a basic life support, CPR trainer. But during training for that, they would ask for a volunteer to check pulse. And for a while, I didn't have a pulse in my neck or on my wrist. I still don't really have one on my wrist. And they would freak out. They're like, "You don't have a pulse. Oh my gosh, are you alive?" I'm like, "I think I'm talking." But within that, I learned certain things to look for in case of a heart attack or stroke. And one of my favorite acronyms within that is the FAST acronym. Has anybody seen or heard of that? So that was part of my heart with this too, Rachel's like, "Yep. Live it every day." She's an ICU nurse, y'all. I hope she knows it. It's the signs for strokes, right? It's face. So the drooping face, arm, weakness or pain in the arm, and speech, slurred speech, and time. So if you see these in anyone, or if you start noticing them yourself, which honestly, when I was having the strokes, people are like, "How did you not know you were having the strokes?" I'm like, "Because I was having a freaking stroke. That's how I didn't know, because my brain was depleted of oxygen, right? And blood and everything." So, but if you see this in someone, the T is very important. The time, get people to the hospital as soon as possible. But really, the T has taken on a new meaning to me, because I am so thankful that my recovery has been incredible, but not everyone is as lucky as that, if you will. I don't necessarily believe in luck, but that's the best word that I can think of right now. So really, now is the time to prevent. Now is the time to take these things in and really assess where your life is going with your nutrition and with your health. Because, and this is where these statistics that I was talking with Bobby with earlier, blew my mind. They blew my mind. So I'm gonna literally read them. And these are from the American Heart Association, that cardiovascular disease claims a life every 40 seconds. Every 40 seconds, not a few 40 seconds a day, every 40 seconds. So since we've been on here, about 30 lives have been claimed by cardiovascular disease, guys. That is insane. And then heart disease strikes someone every 42 seconds and is a leading cause of death worldwide. So somebody's diagnosed of that with every 42. Whoa, whoa, way too much. And that this is the one that really spoke to me since I've had strokes, is that stroke is the leading preventable. The American Heart Association recognizes that stroke is the leading preventable cause of disability and causes 1 out of every 20 deaths. Guys, it's preventable. Most of them, by lifestyle and those things, are preventable. And that about 550,000 people in the U.S. have a heart attack for the first time each year, and about 200,000 have a recurrent heart attack. 200,000. Whoa. So those statistics just aren't okay with me. And that's why my heart and my passion is to share nutrition and wellness with people, because guys, we have so much power. We have so much more power than we've ever really thought, but what we're doing, what we're putting in our mouths, what we're allowing to come into our lives. Because stress is a big part of that too. Like, that was one of the first things that the specialist that I see for this, she looked at me, she goes, "You need to reduce your stress or that will kill you." And I'm like, great. You're telling me I'm super sick and you're telling me not to stress about it, you know? But, you know, just those simple changes can make a world of difference, you know, adding Juice Plus in to really help bridge that gap, because, you know, we're never going to say don't eat fruits and vegetables, but we all know we don't eat enough, right? I mean, I didn't have mercy, especially me being on the road. Without my Juice Plus, I surely didn't get 13 servings of fruits and vegetables today. So anyway, Bobby or AJ, I'm turning it back to AJ. Did I miss anything that you wanted me to share on? We good?
That was fantastic. I love the story. Awesome. Love it.
Very cool.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share some information about the Shred 10 program that Becca was referring to. And Becca, your energy is so amazing. I just love it. It's very contagious. It is.
Yeah. Well, if you guys notice, I'm wearing my red lipstick for Heart Health Month. You're welcome.
You're rocking it quite lovely. You are, my dear. Okay, so the Shred 10, guys, it is literally just a jumpstart rejuvenation program, you know, or, you know, it's kind of like a prevention program is what we could call. I mean, it has so many different names. It wears so many hats. But at the end of the day, the reason why it's so important to do a shred once a month is because, unfortunately, our environment is super toxic. We put on lotions, we put on deodorants, we breathe in like this toxic air. You know, it's all around us and we can't avoid that. Our food is not as good quality as it used to be. Our grandparents used to have their own farms. They would grow their own produce. Talk about vine ripen, right? Now our grocery store has such a supply chain that it goes through. It's coming from Mexico. It's coming from across the ocean. It's coming from everywhere else besides our backyard. And so we're not getting that produce having the nutrition that it needs to have for us to combat all of those toxins. So when you have a lot of toxins and you don't have good food to support that, that's why it's so important to do a program like this, okay? And like Becca said, you're supposed to be getting almost 13 fruits and vegetables every day. And that's a fist size, folks. I don't have a giant fist, but it's big enough to see that that's really difficult to do. And I am a huge, huge veggie lover. I don't actually eat meat. And just to do the shred, you don't have to give up meat. We definitely want you to lean towards leaner meat, no pun intended there. But it is really important just to try to get as many fruits and vegetables into your body every day. I definitely say that I'm a big believer in that. I actually started my Juice Plus journey 8 years ago when I was pregnant. I used Juice Plus as my sole prenatal. And I am not kidding when I say that my almost 7-year-old is a veggie loving fool. Like, he is self-proclaimed. He will tell you his favorite food is kale. Now, not a lot of 7-year-olds say that, but dang it, they should. And I'm just so proud of him when he says that. By no means are we perfect. I would just don't want to paint this picture for you. But we do have a tower garden in our garage that he literally picks the greens off of and eats it right away. And so that's as fresh as we can do. Here in Kansas in the middle of February, I'm growing my own greens. That's awesome. Okay. So there's so many options for people, whether or not it's to start with Juice Plus, growing your own food, or starting the Shred 10 program. So I have actually been doing the Shred program myself for the first 10 days of each month for 4 years. Y'all, that's commitment. That is some commitment. Like, I have committed to my husband and my child, but other than that, like, I don't commit to a lot of stuff. And I can do this because it's fun. There's a lot of people who join in on it, and it's so doable. It's my everyday now. It is our lifestyle, and it's how we choose to live because we feel so good. Okay, so we shred together as a family. When I'm shredding, my family's shredding. I don't make 5 different meals for my family. No, we all do it together because it's what my son has only known his whole life. And my husband is a recovering sugar addict, might I add. And if he can change and have his palate change, anybody can. I'm like a huge believer in that. And when we do this as a family, we do a lot of education behind it. But for my husband, when he does a full vegan shred with me, there's a reward at the end. So you can totally make it enticing to your significant other, I promise. They'll be way on board for it if you're doing a reward. But what we really like to focus on, and I wanted to bring out our shred guide, and I don't know if this looks backwards to you guys or not, but this is some of the free resources that we provide to you guys, along with this cooking guide. It's 90 pages of vegan recipes, y'all. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And I'm saying y'all, I say it usually, but now Becca's got me really saying it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dive into my Midwest roots. But we talk about our guidelines here, and it's probably hard for you guys to see. But what I really want you guys to talk about or think about is like the core 4 and how important it is. And that is literally adding more food to your plate. Taking your Juice Plus capsules, doing 2 shakes a day. When you're doing a shred, 2 shakes a day is like a game changer. Let me just tell you, that takes you out of like hangry zone because it keeps your blood sugar in check. You're not going to send your kids to boarding school. You're not going to try to, cut off a driver who's rude to you on the road. And you really genuinely want to hang out with your significant other, so that's hangry. We don't want to go there. And we want you to be drinking plenty of water, only water. Our bodies are 70% water. That is all we need, is just water. Everything else is a treat, okay? 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and I actually say it's more like 7 to 9. Us mamas, we work really hard during the day, and it is so important to have that shred sleep is what we call it, and making it a priority when you're shredding. Oh my gosh, like the fog has been lifted every morning. It's fantastic. And then making sure you're moving most days, but you're going to have so much energy. You want to be moving. It is awesome. Now, some of the stuff that we really tell you to sort of, give up, I guess, it's because these things are not serving you. These are bad habits. Let's get rid of those bad habits. Okay. Like gluten and dairy. And I promise you can do anything for 10 days. I promise. And we give you a cookbook, gluten-free, dairy-free, I promise. Gluten and dairy are really highly inflammatory foods. They actually are not, they're not serving you. Dairy actually, as humans, we do not create an enzyme past 2 to actually break down that milk. And so, we do not need it. That is for a cow and a calf. That is not for us. And so I think that is really important to point out, and so many dairy alternatives for you. Gluten, actually, that is a gluten protein that gets into your stomach and actually doesn't break down at all and causes leaky gut. And a lot of our gut health issues that we have going on are because of gluten and dairy. So we're definitely wanting to get rid of those. Caffeine, I could do a whole talk about caffeine because I get people who argue with me all the time. Oh my gosh, I could never give up my caffeine. We have a weaning process for you. We can help you out. And then alcohol. Guys, this is one weekend. And if I can give up wine, self-proclaimed wino, totally love it. But if I can give up wine for one weekend, you guys can do it too, trust me. And again, that whole fog lifting in the morning, when I gave up wine, like kind of like the evening, whatever, that experience, it was a game changer for me. And I love kombucha in the evening or warm lemon water. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do. And like Becca was saying, when you're eating more whole foods, you're not eating the processed foods. You're not eating the artificial and refined sugars. That's easy to cut out, okay? And then
then trying not to eat late. And the reason why we say a 6 o'clock cutoff is we really want you to have a 12-hour fast. So if you're getting up at 6 a.m. or whatever to get ready for work and you're eating breakfast, 12 hours before that would be 6 p.m. And we want you to have that breakdown, because what your body is supposed to be doing overnight is supposed to actually, be breaking down, growth hormones. It's supposed to be rejuvenating. It's supposed to be detoxifying. It's supposed to be doing all these things. And when you have a full gut, this is like, I assume your body just like rolls its eyes and is like, oh, fine, I guess I'm going to be digesting this all night instead of detoxifying your body, which is what I'm supposed to be doing, So it's really, really important to give your body that rest. So we are Shredders for Life. It's been 4 years. I can't wait to say it's another 4 years, and I get to say it's 8 years, because we love this lifestyle. It has been awesome, and it's so doable. We have great community support. We give you the free resources. We have workouts. We have so much stuff for you guys. So get with the person who invited you to this event and ask the tough questions about the shred or about Juice Plus, or even stuff, that we can help you with in your own journey. But thank you guys so much, and I'll go ahead and hand this back to Miss Babe.
All right. Well, that was awesome. I'm so excited to kind of close up a little bit. And my last piece is really a little bit of my story and, why I got started in this lifestyle just right alongside Becca and AJ. And really it was because I grew up watching my family be sick. And, I lost my grandfather when I was in 3rd grade to heart disease. And I just really decided in my adult life that I didn't want to walk down that path. And I didn't want my kids to lose their grandparents at a young age either. So, now my oldest is in 2nd grade. And, I think back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like if that was me, I would have been very close to losing a grandparent already. And that's just really sad to think about. So when I really came into this lifestyle, I was at a low point in my own life. I was not healthy. I was eating way too many processed foods. Being a young mom with 3 kids at home, I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't really have a connection or a group of friends outside of my 4 walls. And I really just stayed to myself and was raising my babies. And my husband was busy working. So it really, a lot of it fell on my shoulders. And I wasn't eating regularly. I wasn't eating, healthy foods. I wasn't drinking enough water. I for sure was not getting enough sleep at night. And because I was exhausted all the time, there was no way that I was up and moving my body as much as I should have. So, Juice Plus came into my life 3 years ago yesterday. I knew that if this was something I was going to love, I was actually going to want to share it as well. So I signed up for the business and the product all at the same time and really just hit the ground running. One of my very first customers was my parents. They saw the vision from the very beginning right alongside me, and they knew that if it was something that I loved, that they were going to love it too. So I love that. And, another piece of all of this is that through Shred 10 and through the Transform 30 program is actually how I got started. And we, slowly transitioned it over from doing a 30-day. We're now doing just a 10-day as a jump start to a lifestyle. And I got started with the Transform 30, and it changed my life, you guys. Like, it literally changed my life. I know that sounds really cliche and kind of silly, and it's probably an overused term, but it literally did change my life and change my family. Now I have my mom shredding with me. My dad probably also does because she's cooking what she's eating, and he has no choice, right? But it's just a community effort. You do it with your family, you do it with your friends, you lock arms with your sideline buddies like Becca and AJ, and you just really do this together, and it becomes literally a group effort. And my kids, oh my goodness, you guys, this flu, this stuff that's going around, I can't even begin to tell you how sick we were 3 years ago. And every single time this time of year would creep up on us, we would be strep and, sinus infections and flu and digestive stuff and just yuck all the time. And you guys, knock on wood, we have not been sick in over 2 years probably, in a serious way. We don't go to the doctor anymore unless it's a well visit. And, that's just a far far distance from where we were just 3 years ago. So I'm just here to say that your DNA does not have to be your destiny. You can totally take this step today and just make that change. Starting with something super simple and just really taking your own pace at it. Or you can literally jump in and start with a Shred 10, which is something we all recommend because it's something we all need. Our bodies need it. So to wrap all of this up in a pretty little bow, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for coming. There are so many different avenues that you can take with this. You may be excited to make some health changes because of the things that we discussed tonight. And if that is the case, get with a person who invited you, and they will definitely help you out with that. Maybe you are wanting to make that one simple change and add a trio or some shakes to your diet. Maybe you want to jumpstart to your health, and like I said, let's have you join us in this next Shred 10. We're doing another one in March. I'm currently on day 9 of this current Shred 10, and I'm loving it. You guys, my brain fog is gone, like AJ was talking about. Or maybe you want to join us. Maybe something you said tonight, or we said tonight, really struck a chord with you, and you're like, this is something I could do. I want to hang out with these 3 women all the time. Like, hello, join us. We love bringing on new people and really just locking arms with them. But really, it's up to you, and we really want you to feel empowered and walk away from this event tonight just feeling like you can make some simple changes if that's something you want to do. We have lots of free resources like AJ shared. We have cookbooks, and we have lots of awesome things that we can share with you. So again, thank you guys for coming, and if there's anything that you need beyond what we talked about tonight, get with the person who invited you, and they will share those resources with you. So thank you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and again, we just want to thank you guys for sharing your time with us tonight. Have a good one.